Hi everyone, today's video is going to be one that I like to watch a lot, and I made one last year and it's been like a little bit over a year, and it's going to be my eyeshadow palette collection. So every year in January I post my full makeup collection video, and I'll link my whole collections playlist so you can see different things including last year's version of my eyeshadow palettes. But eyeshadow palettes are by far my favorite. And they're definitely what I purchase more than anything else. So I thought I would go through and show you my eyeshadow palettes. Just in case you wanted to see everything I have quite a bit. Like I said, they're my favorite makeup item. I count eyeshadow palettes as being 5 or more eyeshadows. That's just how I separate it. And we're sitting like this so you can kind of see my collection or how I store it, just things like that. I do also Project Pan. I'll link that playlist down below. And these are Project Pan items, so I will show you those at the end, just in case you watch my Project Pans and you don't want to see like a sneak peek or anything. So yeah, I'm going to go ahead and start because it's going to be a long video. So this is my Alex 6 drawer from Ikea. It's very typical of a makeup collection. And this 4th drawer is my more neutral. Well, you can see I have some stacked. So if they'll stack and I can still tell which one is which, they go in here. And then my more neutral palettes, I try really hard to make sure everything is visible at one time, just because otherwise I feel like you just don't know what you have. You'll also might notice, and one of the reasons why I was really kind of inspired to do Project Pans is because so much of my makeup collection looks brand new. I've had some of these eyeshadow palettes for multiple years and they still look brand new. So that's one of the reasons why I want a pan. Just because it's like, wow, I love eyeshadow and I love getting new ones, but I need to enjoy what I have. And at this point, as you'll be able to see, I have pretty much every color you could imagine. Which is another reason why I'm also, just to get everything out, I'm on a no-buy right now. And I'm on a no-buy until I pay off the Disney vacation that my boyfriend and I are going on in November. So, let's just get into it. I'm just going to grab, like I said, they're not in order by brand because I just don't feel like that's the most effective. These are my smoky and my neutral palettes, and then ones that can stack. So the first one is the Real Her 2 Do Your Squats palette. I got this in a BoxyCharm this year. It's not the best palette, if we're being honest. It's really dark. And you can see it's not that used. I've used it a couple of times. Not the best. Honestly, I was kind of disappointed by that. Then I have the BH Cosmetics That's Heart palette. This is a very old palette for me. I really liked Tarte. I don't know if she still makes videos, honestly, but I used to really enjoy her videos. I like this blush and highlight a lot, but the shadows just aren't the best. And again, I've had it for many years, but you can tell it still looks really new. That's why we pan, guys. That's why I'm panning. I have this little Pacifica Quint. I have a Pacifica Quad of eyeshadows, and I think the eyeshadow quality is great. This Quint's alright. I got this in an Ipsy bag. It's kind of really like a sunsetty shade. I don't know. I have it. This is one of those things. I try really hard now not to buy things just because they're on sale or a good deal. But this was definitely one of those items. It's by Tarina Tarantino, which comes on Kohl kind of frequently, or at least it used to. And it's the Sparklicity Gold palette, and they're nice shadows, but they just don't blend that well, and this is just not a color scheme I go for, in all honesty. I'm a colorful eyeshadow person, and this is very neutral, but I have it. This is in, I've also done a top 5 and bottom 5 favorite eyeshadow palettes, bottom 5 eyeshadow palettes, as well as an eyeshadow palette I regret buying video. So I'll link all of those down below if you're like want to get into my eyeshadow palettes. This was in my bottom 5. It's the Buxom Pastel, what's it called? Pastel Persuasion. And it's beautiful in the pan, but on the lids they just look so similar. And again, you can see very little use out of it. It's just not one that I love. I'm not decluttering anything because I personally, I know that a lot of people like to declutter and I love watching those videos. I personally get a lot more satisfaction and accomplishment out of using up something. Even something that I don't love, I would personally much prefer to use it up as opposed to just giving it away. That's just me. I'm not judging anybody that chooses to declutter. Again, I watch those videos and I enjoy them. But you're not going to see that here. This is one of my oldest eyeshadow palettes, and it's by Stila. And it's the Artful Eye Collector's Edition, Volume 3. This is another one that I bought just because it was a good deal, but it's really nice. It's got 5 shimmery shadows. You can see we have a pretty big dent in that one. And they're just really beautiful and pigmented. Big fan of this one. We have the BH Cosmetics Enhancing Eyes. I got this one on Olive as well. I got the one for green eyes, even though I have brown eyes, but I just like the shades in here. Some of them are nicely pigmented. They're really like narrow pans, which does actually make it really hard to get a brush into. So there's that one. I recently posted a video about this. This is the Lorac California Dreaming palette. I like certain shades, but to make a full look out of this, it's crap. I was so disappointed. I loved the theme of it, which is why I bought it. This is the shade Starfish, and I'm a marine biologist, so I needed something called Starfish. But it's not great. I've made review videos of most of these palettes, actually. So instead of just saying that every single time, I'm just going to link my my review playlist down below, and you can check out if you want more information, because I can't like do swatches and everything of every single one, or this video would probably be 74 hours long or something like that. And then we have my cute little ColourPop palette. This is one of the palettes that has 4 pans, but I took it out based on a YouTube video, and I've got 5 shadows in here. I really like these shadows. This Tiki one isn't the best, but these other 4 are really cute. And I don't know, this is my only kind of like Z palette like thing, and I really like it. It makes me happy to look at it. This was another one that was in my bottom 5. It's by MAC. It's the only MAC palette I have. I have a couple of singles, but this is the Nutcracker Sweet Cool Eye Compact. And the shades in here really drew me in, especially this one, which I think is called Sugar Plum. Yeah. Really just drew me in. I thought it was going to be really pretty, but they're just chalky and not that blendable, which is another disappointing thing. But that packaging, real cute. Real cute. This was something I bought because I had Birchbox points, and I didn't even really think about it. I just looked at the eyeshadow and what I could afford with my Birchbox points. It's by Cynthia Rowley, and I can't bend it all the way back. It's a little quint as well. These are cute shades. I really love like a cool tone pinky purpley look. So they're cute. They're not the most blendable, but like it's decently pigmented. I told you I wasn't going to swatch. I can't swatch. So there's that one. I don't use it that much, honestly. Then I have the Lorac Pro 1 and 2. I have reviewed these before. I think that they're nice shadows, but they get like a muddy blended mess. You can see I don't have that much use on them, but it's a real, they have a lot of kick up. So it looks really powdery, but that's the Pro 1. And then we have a Pro 2. I've done a this or that video trying to explain which one I think you should buy. I like the Pro 2 better. It does have a little more use, but still, that shadow broke out, which makes me super paranoid about these palettes. But there is the Lorac Pro 2 palette. And the Kat Von D Interstellar. I wanted this because I love Kat Von D shadows, and I've only used it like once or twice. I don't know why. Purple is one of my favorite colors to wear. I love the formulation. I love silver shadows, and that's a gorgeous silver. But I just never reach for this palette for whatever reason. It kind of makes me sad. So I have that one. Then we have one of my newer palettes, the Beauty and the Beast Tale as Old as Time. This is by Lorac as well, and it says it's the Pro formula, but I like this a lot better. All of these shadows except for Real You are beautiful, really beautiful, nicely pigmented. They blend well, but they don't blend away. I just really like this palette. I think it's gorgeous. Big fan of that. Next, we have one of these Too Faced 9-pan palettes. I have 3 of these, I think 3. I think that's correct. And this is the Too Faced Matte Eye palette. It is really nice. I've done a review of it. I actually gave one of these away. It is nice, but it kind of blends alright. Some of it blends okay. Again, as you've probably noticed, a lot of these look pretty new, and this one is a few years old. So it shouldn't look very new, should it? This one actually is new. I got it from one of my subscribers, Erica, and it's an Ulta palette. It doesn't have a name or anything, and I don't see it on the website, but it has 9 shadows that are pretty nice actually, and then a highlighter and a blush. So there's that guy. I have this Smashbox Masterclass Volume 3. I bought this totally because Emily Noel was raving about it. It is some hefty packaging. And there we go. We have our neutral side with contour shades, and then our blushes and the colorful side. They're really nice. A few of them are overly powdery, but in general they're really nice shadows. And I like them. And I like the way that that one's set up a lot. I have the limited, well, a lot of these are limited edition. This is the Gwen Stefani palette. And this is one that I totally bought because it went on sale. I had no desire to buy it. And now that I have it, I really like it. It's very neutral, which is not normally my cup of tea, but I find that I use these shades a lot. This pop shade is kind of chunky, but it looks really pretty with glitter glue. It's just a nice palette. It's definitely one more geared towards lighter skin tones, but it's really pretty. And I am glad I own that one. The other Too Faced 9-pan palette I have in here is the Smoky Eye. This one is so dark that it's hard to make a look out of, but that silver, what is it called? In a Flash. That silver is one of my favorite silvers I own, so that's really nice. It's pretty, they don't make it anymore. It's just hard to get a full look out of that. One of my favorite palettes, but I always forget about it, is the Tarte Pro palette. I just think it's a gorgeous palette. My boyfriend actually bought it for me for Christmas last year. And it's so pretty. It's very reflective, as you can tell. But you just get so many beautiful shades, all matte, and then some nice shimmers. I can get a ton of good looks out of it. I find that that blends really well, and they're really highly pigmented. So that's a really fun palette. Then we have one of my oldest, the Too Faced Joy to the Girls palette. I got this because it went on sale on HauteLook, and I didn't own any big. This was my first large palette that I owned. It was from their 2014 Christmas collection, maybe 2013. I can't remember. But there it is. I know I got it in Gainesville when I was still in undergrad. But it's a pretty palette. It's very neutral. This Joy shade never turns out exactly like I want, but I really like that twinkle and that prancer. So that's pretty. This is the Lime Crying Venus palette. Another thing I got on HauteLook. I was intrigued by it. I know people don't like to support Lime Crime, which is your personal opinion. This is a beautiful palette. It's absolutely gorgeous. And to the best of my knowledge, this is one of the first super warm tone palettes that came out, and now everyone's doing them. But this is beautiful. And this Aura shade and Shell, Muse, Rebirth, they're all great. Really, sorry, my foot's falling asleep. Really big fan of that palette. And then the last palette in my neutral drawer is this one. It's one of my very favorites. It's the Lorac Pirates of the Caribbean palette. I love it because of the theme, and I love it because of the quality. These shades it's such a unique selection of shades. They're beautiful. They blend. They show up. They don't get muddy. I have nothing bad to say about this palette. Love it. Really highly recommend it. I think at the time of this video, you can still buy it on Ulta, and I recommend it. Alright, and so that's the end, and you can see I just have this shelf paper just so things don't slide around too much. And then we're going to go down here, and this is my colorful eyeshadow palettes. First one, another one of my first ones, and it's the Wet n Wild Petal Pusher. I don't love this one. I never have. I know a lot of people say that the Wet n Wild ones are great, and maybe Comfort Zone is a lot better, but I don't think this one's that great. Honestly, I don't think it's that great at all. The Urban Decay Ammo palette, it's an old palette. They don't make it anymore. It's all shimmery shades, and I do really like this one. This was I want to say it was one of my first Urban Decay palettes, and I get a lot of use out of it, actually. I know it still looks brand new, as a lot of my palettes do, but I do get a lot of use out of that one. This is the Urban Decay Spectrum palette. It's for their 15th anniversary. Gorgeous shades. Very cool tones, which again I like. I love that pink and bordello down there. Just some really unique shades. I think they're pretty. And I like them. This is my Minnie's World in Color. Again, another Disney collaboration. I saw it and I had to have it. This quality is not the best. It's made by Sephora's home brand. The quality is not the best in this palette, but it does have a really cool assortment of shades, and I like it. I just don't reach for it enough, which could be said for all of these palettes, because again, I have so many. I don't believe they make this anymore. This is the Maybelline The Brights, and it's not the best quality, but if you don't wear a lot of bright eyeshadows, I think it's really good. Because you can build these up. If you wear bright shadows up every day, you probably don't want to put as much work into it as this needs. But you can make really pretty looks using this palette. So there's the Brights. If you can still find it, I mean, I think it's nice. This was the 2015 Makeup Forever palette, holiday palette. They do a lot of the same shades in these palettes. They're nice. I have found that they get this weird like jelly hard pan, so I have to scrape that off sometimes. But they're really pigmented and pretty. Really pretty. This one's mostly shimmery, and I like the packaging. It's very orange. I have this little H&M palette. I like H&M shadows a lot. I've done a full review of them as well. And this palette, I was kind of nervous because I like the singles a lot, but this palette was only $10, and I was like, surely it's not that good. But it's really nice. Some of the shades look very similar, like this one and this one. But all in all, it's a really pretty palette. It's a great deal, and the packaging is super sleek. It's very, in my opinion, reminiscent of like Marc Jacobs packaging. The Urban Decay Electric palette, one that a lot of people love, and I think it's great, honestly. I think it's a beautiful palette. I do get a lot of use out of it. I use all the shades, even though I want to say it's these two and these two. Yeah, I think it's these two and these two. They say you shouldn't use on your eyes, or maybe it's these two and these two. I don't remember. But there's 4 shades here. They say they're not recommended for eye use. I use them all on my eyes, and I never really had a problem. I think they're beautiful. You can't get this palette anymore. But if you like bright colors, it's a great one. Then we have my other Makeup Forever eyeshadow palette. This is the volume 2. I think they made 4 of these. This is the really colorful one. They're nice. Again, you do have to like scrape off hard paint because they get like too jelly or something. It's a unique collection of shades. I can't use this palette by itself, but it's still nice and I still do enjoy it. We have the BH Cosmetics Galaxy Chic palette. I was so excited to get this because everyone talked about it and said how great it was. I don't concur. I think a lot of these shades are very reminiscent of each other. They look beautiful in the pan, but like these 4 blues right here look the exact same. That one doesn't, but these 2 purples, these 3 browns, a lot of reminiscent shades. I mean, they're beautiful in the packaging, but they're not great, and they don't have that much pigment. They're really flaky. You definitely need to wet your brush to use these. So, not one of my favorites. This is one that was on Haute Look as well, and it's a Stila Tin Pan palette. These shadows are giant. I wonder how many grams are in here. 2.6 grams a piece. That's huge. They're really nicely pigmented. I love these shades. They used to sell these singles, and maybe they still do on their website. I'm not sure. But I love them, and I think they're really nice shadows. I like these a lot better than one of my other Stila palettes that I'll show you in a minute. I have this cute little baby Quint from Revlon. It's their Photo Ready Eye Quad. I was obsessed with this. This was in 540 Muse. This used to be one of my all-time favorite palettes. I used it all the time. Again, the purples are beautiful. This one, if you use a sponge tip applicator, looks really nice. It's a cool palette. I haven't used it in forever. I kind of want to pull it back out because I used to be obsessed with it. And then we have the Beauty Treats 24 Matte palette. They're not all matte. I've done a review of this one. These are very hit and miss. but some of them are really nice, and it's really inexpensive. This light blue is my favorite light blue that I own. So, you know, drugstore palette. Some of them are great. Some of these shades are really chalky, but some of them are great, and I've gotten some cool looks out of it. The packaging is crap, though, honestly. And this is my last palette in the drawer. It is the Sephora Pantone Universe Watercolor Palette. You can still get this on the website, and it's really nice. It didn't get any hype on YouTube. Hold on, I can't open it. I feel like it is a very light palette. I don't own the Laqa Brunch palette, but I think that these are even better, honestly. This silver is really pretty. These shades that are darker help you fill out a look. I don't know. It's definitely a very colorful, unique assortment of shades, and I like them. So, there's that. And then we're going to go into the ones that I am currently panning, which are all of these up here. I am panning the shade Dagger and the Kat Von D Pastel Goth palette. I did a review of it, and I really loved it, and it is a gorgeous palette. I really like the shades in here, but they don't blend as well as I thought. Like I said, I'm trying to pan Dagger right now, and it's just so hard to blend. So I don't love this as much as I thought I did. The Take Me to Brazil palette. If you want an inexpensive, colorful palette, I recommend this one. Almost all of these shades are great. Some of these yellows and greens are a little iffy, but most of these shades are great. I'm panning this shade right now, but they're beautiful. They don't last quite as long on the eyelids as some higher end palettes, but it's a nice one. And they just came out with a volume 2 of that. This is the only Anastasia Beverly Hills palette I own, and it's the Miami palette. It's really pretty. It's really neutral and warm toned within a couple of pops of colors. I like the shade Glisten a ton. I'm panning deep brown right now, and I like that. So this is a nice palette. I got that on Birchbox. This is the Stila. These are like one of their newer palettes. The Eyes Are the Window Shadow Palette in Body, and this is not nice. This shade Moonstone is beautiful, but a lot of these shades just don't perform well at all, as you can see. Like, they're just not that good, honestly, at all. I'm trying to pan this shade, and it's super hard pressed. So, this is disappointing. I got that one on Hope Look as well. This is the volume 4 of the Smashbox Masterclass. Like I showed y'all earlier, I have volume 3. This one is set up differently. It's a little more colorful. I really enjoy this palette. Again, some of the shades are kind of flaky. I'm thinking of Sea and Sky specifically. But you get your cheek products that are really nice. A lot of these shades are really nice. It is a more expensive palette. They're generally about $60. But I get a lot of use out of them. So I like that. The Laqa Mega Pro 2. This is the only Mega Pro I have. And I find the same thing. They blend into one look. I'm using the shade Gold Leaf right now, and it's really flaky. I don't know. It's just not what I want it to be. It's pretty. It looks great in the pan, but it's just, I never love, if I do a full look with just this palette, it doesn't turn out the way I want. Another new one to me is the BH Cosmetics 120 eyeshadow palette, and this is the 5th edition. So it's got a lot of eyeshadow in here. As you can see, this is like our warm and greens, and then you get some more. This is a very warm tone neutrals. It's not the most colorful, but we do have some pinks, which I like a lot of pink. I got this from Erica as well, and I'm enjoying it. It's a lot better than I thought it would be, honestly. It does smell like paint, though, just for your live knowledge. One of everybody's favorite palette, honestly. I've never heard a bad thing about the Kat Von D Vita Loca palette, and there's a reason. The only shade in here that disappoints me is Fran, but they're beautiful. You've got your colors and your neutrals. There's really nothing wrong with this palette at all. I love it a lot. So there's that. And then we have the Urban Decay Full Spectrum palette. I really like this guy. It's just so colorful and bright. There's not a lot of neutrals. I'm using Calavera today to blend out my shadows. It's gorgeous. Beautiful. Really pigmented. I know it didn't get the best reviews. Mine's I have nothing bad to say about this. The Urban Decay Vice 4 palette. They didn't come out with a Vice palette last year, so they might be done with these. Ow. But here's this palette. It's got a lot of cool shades in it. This flame shade is what I have all over my lids today, with a black base, so it kind of looks more green. But it's a nice palette. It's pretty. They're really pigmented. There's a lot of glitter, a lot of chunks, but it's still nice, and I like it. The Urban Decay Alice in Wonderland Through the Looking Glass palette. It is right here. It's a lot more neutral than people think. If you know, it's got a lot of pops of colors, but it's also really neutral. It's great, like like you can get a full look in this palette. It's really pretty. This Dream On shade is super disappointing unless you use a glitter glue, but it's pretty, and I like it. I like a lot of my palettes, as you can tell. Alright, 5 more. My last Too Faced little tin, and this is actually a tin, not the cardboard, so this is the newer packaging. It's the Sugar Pop palette. This is one of my favorite eyeshadow palettes. A few of these shades have little dents in them. I think that it's a beautiful palette. It's a lot of fun. Again, I like color, so this really speaks to me. Another palette I really love is the Balm Jovi Rockstar palette. This has 12 shadows, a highlighter, a blush, and then 2 cream products that I actually really enjoy the cream products. You know, it's a very neutral palette, but you can get a lot of use out of it. This Metallica is a beautiful silver. I have Adagio today, like, as my brow bone highlight. It's really pretty. Big fan. Then, my Urban Decay Smoked palette. This one is really dark, so it's hard to, you can't really get a full look out of it, but I've been using it a lot to, like, accent looks, and I really like it for that. A lot of people love this palette. Again, I mean, there's not a lot of diversity, so it's a very dark shade, and some of these do look black on the lids, which is disappointing, but it does work. I mean, it's nice. It's just not one of my favorites. Another one of my first palettes is the Tarte Rainforest After Dark palette. They came out with this, and then it was gone, and they came back out with it and said it was permanent, but I don't think it's here anymore. I don't really know the deal with this. These shadows are okay. They're nothing special, but these cheek products are amazing. I have Park Avenue Princess on today as my bronzer and contour. I love Champagne. I love Unleashed. I love the cheek products in here. The eyeshadows, they don't do that much for me. And my last palette is in here, actually. It is my most used palette and another one of my all-time favorites. I see this on blog sales all the time. It's a weird assortment of colors, but I love it. I always am inspired by this. I always get cool looks out of it. Almost all of these shades have relatively large dips in them, and you can see I even used up the shade South. But there it is. Beautiful palette. So, those are all of my eyeshadow palettes. I have a lot. Eyeshadow palettes are my very favorite. You can see why I'm going on a no-buy, because so many of them look brand new, and that makes me sad because I love them. You know, I definitely get into the habit of, oh my gosh, I love this palette. I use it for like a week or two, and then it's like, oh my gosh, I got this new palette. I love this palette. It's great. Oh my goodness, this one is cool too. And then you just have a bunch, and none of them have any use, and you're not really getting your money's worth. So that's why I pan, because I have plenty of makeup to pan with. And like I said, I am on a no-buy until I am able, well, John and I'm not paying for it by myself, to pay off our Disney World trip, which we're going on in November, and I'm really excited. So I hope you enjoyed this video. Like I said, I reviewed almost all of these palettes, and that'll be linked below. If you have any further questions, requests, suggestions, comments, anything, go ahead and leave them down below. And if there's something you want to see, let me know. I know that this is like the opposite of my normal setup, so the lighting might be a little weird, and I hope that's okay. But that's really all I have for y'all, and yeah, I'll see y'all real soon. Bye.